Well, g'day to all of you. Had to say that cliche. I'm going to provide a little counterpoint to some of the discussions today and broaden the discussion beyond just social media, because Vineet said something quite profound today, and that was that he referred to that analogy around the Indian racetrack for F1, and mentioned that when the bends come up in the track, that the fast drivers love it because it gives an opportunity to overtake. Actually, it also gives the slower drivers nightmares because it means that they're about to be overtaken. So I think we need to be looking at it on the basis of both the opportunities but also the challenges that we face. So unfortunately, my communications department produced this for about 2 hours and I've got about 10 minutes, so you'll excuse me if I rush through some of it. Firstly, we're fully aware of the opportunities that exist using Facebook, obviously Twitter and Yammer being the most recent revelation, where something like 90% of the Fortune 500 companies are using it. And the statistics are amazing. Things like, staff engagement is growing at a rapid rate, and every company that measures staff engagement has seen positive results from introducing Yammer. We also know that e-commerce is growing at a phenomenal rate, and the digital market for us all is a necessary strategy of the future. Just heard my 4 colleagues talking about it. But with opportunities come threats. And some of those threats are everything from reputational attacks, cyber squatting, phishing attacks, counterfeiting, which is a $600 billion industry now, and malware, obviously being coming through to us via websites, domain names, via Facebook sites, etc. One of the interesting things is we hold a little bit about Melbourne IT. If I can just digress for a minute, we have 3,500 corporate customers that are all over the world, market leaders, automotive companies, financial services, airlines, pharmaceuticals, all great brands. And the one common theme to all of them is protecting and promoting their brand. And whether they use social media or whether they use other mechanisms, they're about to enter that bend in the road, and I want to share with you what they're thinking about and hopefully get you thinking about it too. So what are they thinking about? Firstly, there are some emerging consumer behaviours, such as obviously the increase in shopping online, the increase, and in particular Generation Y moving from site to site. Company websites shouldn't be ignored. I think that's one of the critical points here, that as much as social media is a valuable tool, don't forget about your core website and your brand and how you're protecting your brand going forward. One of the other points is that mobility is becoming a very important part of our lifestyle too, and so browsing websites, using Facebook, whatever, we have to re-engineer the way we think and the way we communicate our messages. So therefore, basically, all of our messaging, all of our branding needs to be thinking about how most of the community now is moving to mobility. And personalisation, critical. Whether it's through social media or whether it's through the website, you need to be thinking about how you're personalising back to your individual customers and your staff. So what's changing, and what's that bend in the road that I referred to before? Firstly, online is becoming the preferred shopping environment. You probably know most of this. Personalised content and interactions are highly desired. There's an importance for mobile browsing, and offline marketing is struggling to create that bridge with online marketing and online buyers. And I'm going to show you some solutions in a minute. Malicious online activity is impacting consumer trust, and trustworthy company websites remain consumers' first choice to engage and build loyalty. That's critical. And social media success measured by meaningful interactions that link to the brand. So again, it all revolves around your brand and how you protect it. So here's the bend in the road. The bend in the road is about, on June 20th, ICANN, which is the naming authority, announced some major changes to the way domain names will operate. Basically, we've grown in an environment over the last 25 years where we'll have, been used to .com, .net, .biz, .info, and many CCTLDs like .co.uk or .us. Well, from next year, we're going to see potentially up to 1,000, maybe even 2,000 new extensions. You're going to have entrepreneurs, you're going to have bona fide brands, you're going to have all sorts of new business models emerging. And some of them that have been announced already include .bank, .music, .shop, .hotel, .city, .brands, .anything. And of course, here are some that have been announced. I put it into 4 categories. The 4 categories are, we're going to see competitors to .com, names like .web will be released. We're going to see competitors to country codes, because we're going to see city names. New York or NYC has been announced. London's very close behind. We're seeing Sydney, Melbourne by Australian. Tokyo and Okinawa has been announced. So we're going to see city names emerging. We're going to see a whole range of new generics, highly popular generic names being launched, and not just for the purpose of like a cyber squatting, because what they're trying to do is prevent that. But what we are going to see is these names used for generating traffic back to company websites and linking that opportunity. So, recently, about a month ago, 2 months ago, realestate.com sold for $8.25 million US. Recently, social.com sold for about 2.6 million. SUV sold for about 500,000. So these names are highly sought after. So the opportunity to get a generic name, be it .holidays or .suv or whatever it might be, is going to be highly attractive. And I could imagine to Bob, who runs an airline, having potentially .cheap tickets or .airline or .holidays, and then linking a whole range of websites with that could prove very highly attractive and generate enormous amounts of traffic. But the world is changing, and we need to be aware of that, because we can't just defensively register these names. So the one that our 3,500 corporate customers are most interested in is .brand, and how it potentially can create a digital anchor to be able to anchor all their other activities that are going on. So how they're going to use it? Well, these are some of the examples that we've worked on with McCann Erickson here in North America, and we're starting to share with our customers. But an example, whereas historically we might have seen I Am Nikon with their major campaign in .com or .co.uk, and of course they couldn't get all the domain names, so they had to get mynikonlife.com.au, actually shifting to .nikon, giving them more freedom to run a campaign which is iam.nikon. So basically you're having that attraction mechanism at your disposal, because it's a closed name that's within your control. Another one, where you might have, John Deere, which is, www.deere.com/careers for people wanting to apply to an engineering company. Here you've got careers.deere or join.deere. I'm going to race through these because there's thousands of examples, but, Ford, and again, think about the mobility thing. Your likelihood of actually going through and typing in a direct navigation of Ford.com/cars/Mustang is pretty tough. So actually being able to direct navigate, and think about the offline media bridge, where you can have a billboard or a newspaper ad or even a radio ad, which basically says, go to www.mustang.ford, much easier. And you can create that website in particular to be up for a week, to be up for a month, or to be up for 10 years, for as long as you like. Again, another example of engaging your customers, garmin.com/move to move.garmin. You can create geographic connections, so basically through your accredited agents, you can have Boston.hertz, Atlanta.hertz, etc., etc. So there's that flexibility. You can move from CoorsLight.com/Super Bowl, instead of running promotions which basically are pretty difficult to get or create really clumsy navigation websites. You can have superbowl.cours. So there's opportunities there. NBA.sprite, slamdunks.sprite, etc. Heroes.bud, another example. Imagine typing in or trying to navigate through to that Heroes promotion where it's www.budweiser.com en/World of Budweiser, etc., you give up. So basically be able to create that shorter, more memorable navigation is a key opportunity for brand holders, whether it's through social media or whether it's creating these domain names. And I should say that why are companies thinking this way? Because I can tell you, and I don't think we've got a lot of IP attorneys in the audience. I think we've got a few marketing people here attending, but reality is that if we're going to have 1,000 TLDs, 1,000 domain names, you know, securing popular names, high-profile brands, be it Washington Post or Southwest Airlines or Merck or any of the great brands that are attending here, and continually to defensively register yourself in all these new extensions, whether it's a .web or whether it's potentially .holidays or something else, is going to be difficult. So taking control and building that trust and that familiarity with your customers and your staff as a direct navigation is going to be critical in the future. I mentioned before that we hold a lot of security roundtables, and we had one for the financial services industry in Great Britain, and we had some of the biggest banks attend, RBS, Lloyds, HSBC and others. And I won't mention which one, but interesting, when they started working on defending themselves against phishing, at the beginning they were making up 25% of all the phishing losses in Great Britain. Today they make up less than 5%. But the change in thinking was more important, and the change in thinking from the board was 3 years ago the decision to defend against phishing and the damage against their reputation online was made purely and simply from an ROI position. How much did it cost? How much did it save? Today their decision is basically a company survival decision. And that is, if they don't attend to this, if they don't defend themselves and protect their brand and customers or consumers or staff, if they can't have confidence in dealing with that brand online, I'll go somewhere else. So these are the challenges. So the personalisation opportunity. And this is an interesting one because we're going to see a world where potentially you're going to see companies like eBay issuing free domain names. You're going to their merchants. You're going to see companies like Google creating new names. You're going to see other organisations, Microsoft, Yahoo. We're going to be inundated with companies that are creating names for their customers or their staff, which creates a linkage to them. So it's more than social media. It's actually being able to create that linkage and that connection, which creates greater stickiness. One of our automotive companies is creating online service books where basically they can build that relationship with that customer and they can monitor what happens with that vehicle every moment, so they can build that direct engagement. That's bypassing their accredited agents. And of course the advocacy, and this is one of my favourites because of course it does give the opportunity and flexibility of creating sites around advocacy as well, be it smarterplanet.ibm. Here's some other examples, fairtrade.tesco or diversity.walmart or sustainability.pret. So lots of different examples, and the world is about to change. So when does it change? It changes in January next year when applications open, and it'll close in April. Some of your competitors are applying for that now, and some of them basically won't. So you need to think about what you're going to do. So in summary, basically .brand can build greater trust, can build a personalisation which supplements your social media activity, which supplements all the work that you're doing now. It can build your brand to be more mobile friendly, more memorable, flexible, and of course it's coming soon. So I've gone outside the bounds of just social media, but thank you for listening to me.